and welcome back to KNF Design. If you're new here, my name is Katie and welcome. If you haven't already, please head down below and hit that subscribe button, as well as a like to this video. Leave a comment if you want as well. I really appreciate it and it helps my channel. For today's craft, we are going to be making this beautiful honeycomb shaped tree, and I applied glitter on mine, which just makes it look beautiful. I really liked this one, and it might seem complicated, but trust me, it wasn't difficult at all to make. I know you can do it. I also have a bonus tree that I'll be showing you at the end, so make sure you stick all the way to the end so you don't miss that bonus tree that I have for you. So with that, let's get crafting. So here is what my tree design looks like, and it should pop up like this in Cricut Design Space. Sometimes with the new updates it says a little warning at the top when you go to upload it. Just hit continue and it comes out just fine. So the first thing is you can change the color if you want. You can make it a little bit, I'm going to do a dark blue tree. You don't have to change the color if you don't want. And you can cut it just like this. You can cut it by hand as well. Just print print this and cut it out. You can fold it in half, so you only have to cut half the tree out. If you fold your paper in half, cut out half the tree. When you open it, it'll then look like this. Since I have a Cricut machine, I'm going to use my Cricut and let it cut it for me. The cardstock I am using is a 12 by 12. So I'm just going to do a little template here for myself, just to make sure everything fits well. Before I do that though, I think I'm also going to do another step. Instead of trying to fold this evenly in half, I'm going to let my Cricut do the folding for me. So this is a score line. If you do the line, and you can see it says score here. Now I'm doing a tree that is 7.3 inches high, 5.45 wide. So that means this also needs to be at 7.31 tall. So over here, 7.31. Now with this score line selected and my tree selected, I'm going to go to a line and a line center, and that put it directly in the center. And so now my Cricut machine will make that line either with a scoring stylus, or if you have a maker, you can use the scoring wheel, whichever one you would like. And that way it's just kind of nice to have it pre-scored for you, easier to make it, I think. Now, I also, if I'm doing that, need to attach that, so that way that score line stays there in the middle of our tree. My square is the size of the mat, so it's telling me it's too big, because the mat actually doesn't quite cut to that 12. It always gives itself a little buffer, but we'll hide this later, so don't worry about that. Now, the reason why I made the shape of the mat here is because I want to see how many of my trees, remember to give yourself a little bit of buffer. I'm going to right click, duplicate, how many trees I might be able to fit on one sheet of my 12 by 12 paper. You can also hit duplicate over here. And then we want to flip this guy. Oops. .180 degrees. So he'll fit right in here. Should be good. So this particular shape that I have, I can only get 3 on a 12 by 12 sheet of paper. If you're doing, we can do the 11 by 8.5. That's also a typical shape of paper, and you can test that out and see. It looks like probably only be able to get 2 on that, but you can test that out as well, depending on whatever size cardstock you have. You can test to see how it'll fit. So now that we know we can get 3, we don't need that. Now I don't want to lose that spacing, because if I do it in Cricut Design Space, it'll just kind of put them in random spots, which won't be this nice positioning for the optimal amount of space saving. So I'm just going to go over to attach to make sure they don't shift when I go to make it. Depending how full you want your tree to be will depend on how many of these pieces you will want to make. Typically I kind of like between 40 to 50, so it is going to require quite a bit of paper, and I also recommend paper that is solid core versus the white, just so those white tips don't show. But I'm going to go cut these out and just use whatever setting is fitting for the cardstock that you're using, and I'll show you a little bit more as we make it the fullness to help you determine how many of these trees you would like to make. Now the trick to this is how you glue it closed. So we are going to, I'm just using this marker to show you. I'm going to do a line of glue on the edges of these, where it kind of ends, and I'm going to do one at the top there. Because we're using glue, I'm not going to go to the end, that way I don't have any seeping through. So, I'm just, for all this stack, going to be doing glue like this, and then we will close it. Just a line of glue. And then I will close it and put it underneath something heavy to help hold it as it dries. Then we'll move on to the next one. So we do a dot at the top and a line at each of those areas where the tree changes layers. Set it aside to glue to dry. So once all of your pieces are fully dry, mine are still drying, so I'll just show you with these two. You can see how you have the gaps here. This is also a good time to note that I like the solid core cardstock, because if you have the one that has like the white, you'll be able to see that white outline, which isn't as nice and clean. So try to find cardstock that's a solid core so you don't see those lines. So we have a gap here, a gap here, and then the gap here, and then one right here. So that's what your trees should look like now, because we've glued them all the same. So I'll show you again here. We did a glue there, we did glue on this line, and this line. So for the next step, we are going to be gluing everything all on top of each other, but we want to alternate where we just did the glue. So since we did glue on these white dots here, we now want to do glue in between those lines. So the trees are nice and easy for doing this because you can kind of tell, but for other shapes you just want to make sure you go alternating. So then we will put our other tree on top. The other reason why I like the glue is because then you can line it up a little bit and really make sure you get your base and your sides all nice and even, and we'll put something heavy on that to glue. So then when you open it up, it'll be an alternating design. So I'm going to let this dry and just do bundles of this and then glue the bundles together and just keep gluing and setting them aside under something heavy to dry as I go. So I'm gluing 2 at a time, and then I will glue those 2 together. So these 2 are both in sections glued together. Once I put them under something and glue them, once the glue's dried, so like this. Once I have 2 of those, I'll do that same pattern. Glue the 2 sets of 2s together. And set that under something to dry. So then there's 4 trees here total. So I'll get piles of 4s, glue the 4s together, and just keep going. And kind of see how it's going to look there. So now that we have all the trees stacked together, we just pull it apart. I'm going to end up gluing this, and I'm going to apply some glue here too. And that's what it'll look like. So you can see how the spacing between them are. If some of them are stuck, you can go in and kind of try to separate them a little bit. But if you do more cardstock, it won't be quite as, it'll be a little bit tighter of a look like that. If you do less cardstock, it'll be more open like that. So it just kind of depends the look that you're going for. Again, I did 3 trees per sheet of cardstock, and I used 14 pieces of cardstock for that look there. But I did save 5 pieces of cardstock, 5 pieces of trees to make a special tree, and I will show you that in just a minute. So this one just dries faster than that Bailey Oat glue. That's why I'm using the Beacon one. I could have used the same pattern to glue this. That probably would have been nice. But I just glued it all. And there we go. We have a really pretty tree. You could add little beads around it. I'm going to let this dry just a little bit more and then do some Mod Podge and glitter to it. You could do a little bead on the top. There we go. I'm just going to leave it on a desk like this to be displayed. But if you wanted to do some type of ribbon through the center, you could do that as well. There we go. So I'm going to add some glitter to my fun little tree here. To do that, I just put some white glue into this little tray, and I'm going to use this Silver Champagne Extra Fine Glitter and sprinkle it on top. I did the white glue just so I can see when I apply it, so sometimes if you do a clear glue, it's hard to see where you did it. I'm just going to go in sections and apply glue, then glitter, and go all the way around the tree. And once everything's fully dried, I'm going to go back either with this white glue or a Mod Podge or a spray just to seal that glitter in so it doesn't get all over the place. You just take your trees and fold them along that folded line that we have. And then we're just going to glue the trees together. And you can do as many or as less as you would like. So that's 3's kind of less, but you could do that if you want to all spread out. 4 is kind of a nice even number. You could do a tree like that with 4. I actually kind of like just a little bit thicker with 5. And so it kind of look like this. And once it's all glued together, it'll stand on its own. We'll just make sure it's a little bit even. That's how it'll look. And then we can stick a twig or a stick in here before we glue the final one, if you would like it to be on a stand, or you could have it just sit like this. And then you can even add some little white tips to make it look like snow, or you can add some glitter, or just leave it like that. Now with the other tree, this one just looks a little plain. So I think I'm gonna try to add a little bit of glitter and like a droopy method. We'll see how that looks. Here is what our tree looks like. It is absolutely beautiful. I really like this one. One of my favorite projects I've done, I think. So that'll definitely be coming out. I actually have tempted to leave it out all the time. And then here is the other one. Still very pretty. I hope you had fun watching this tutorial and hope you try one or both of these as well. Thanks for watching, happy crafting, and I'll see you next week.